Ladies and gentlemen, this Red Gamer today on video, we're going to be doing a graphical preview of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, where we're going to be going into what I think some of the differences are in the game and just overall my initial impressions thus far of both versions. We will be covering the PC as well as a more in-depth look, but for now this is what I found out in basically my first day of testing. So, first things first, the Xbox One version is indeed running at non-native 1080p. It's running at 1360 by 1080. That is native and it's being basically dynamically scaled to 1080. It does a fairly good job, honestly, but it does lead to some problems which we'll discuss in just a second. The PlayStation 4 version is running at 1920 by 1080, so you might think that's a clear win for the PS4, and yes, visually it does give it a slight advantage. However, there are definitely some issues associated with that with the frame rate. My initial testing, which I'm not ready to reveal the numbers quite yet, but you could definitely see there are more duplicate frames on the PS4 version. In other words, the frame rate is better on the Xbox One. I've also noticed this in single player as well. I'm not saying it's night and day difference, I just like to highlight that. But the PS4 version does feel slightly laggier. We'll be testing this in multiplayer as well, but so far I've just been testing it on single player because, well, frankly I've had one of those days. But anyway, I digress. Moving on to the visuals side of things, I want to speak just a moment about anti-aliasing. So, anti-aliasing, of course, is getting rid of the jaggers, and the jaggers in this game, for the most part, do get obliterated, but the Xbox One version, because of the native resolution being not non-1080p, I have noticed they can be slightly worse. Basically, I have two videos playing side by side while I'm basically playing the game at the same time as I'm looking at a video of the PS4 version. I've recorded the PS4 version first, and I did notice just by eyeing it that the PS4 version does have slightly nicer edges. Now, the PS4 version, however, does still have problems with edges. It's definitely not a pass. And you'll notice that even, for example, the gun reticle on occasion could definitely have quite noticeable jaggers on them. I would like to point out that both versions are running the latest patch currently available. And indeed, the Xbox One version does appear to have slightly nicer blacks. Now, I'm not talking massively, and this is just my initial impressions of the first couple of levels, but playing around with the gamma values on both, you can definitely tell there is a slight difference, and I have heard about this. I will be doing further testing, but it does appear that the PS4 version does have some odd black levels. I wouldn't say they're 100% clipped, but there is definitely something going on, and I need to basically really take some higher resolution non-compressed images and kind of run them through and do a lot of testing on that on both versions and see just what's going on. Overall, both versions so far play really nicely. I can't say that I'm unimpressed by either. The performance on both machines is actually pretty admirable. Shadows, foliage and so on is pretty good on both versions. Some of it does definitely lend itself better towards the PlayStation 4 purely because of the higher internal resolution. But I think for this, there's not like a major clear winner. What I would personally suggest, and this is just based on my initial testing, is that both versions are pretty solid. So if you own a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One, you're really worried, oh gosh, like, you know, is the Xbox One version going to be pretty solid online or whatever? The answer is yes, quite frankly. If you're looking to purchase the game, so far I would not really look at the performance of either machine. Yes, the Xbox One version does have a slightly higher frame rate, the PS4 version does look slightly nicer, but I would instead early testing, and I obviously will be going into textures and stuff a lot more detailed. You can see some of it in this video. The models, for example, look pretty similar. There does seem to be a slight FOV difference. You're probably going to notice that through some of the cutscenes that are interspliced in the video. But the basic bottom line, I would highly recommend at the moment just to pick up the version of the game that you feel more comfortable with, either with the controller or through things such as, you know, which one you prefer online, which has the more robust friend list for you, and so on and so on. You're not going to be disappointed with either version of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and my early testing for the PC version is also really, really positive as well. Very high performance and great frame rates. Particularly if you've got a reasonable card, but even on mid-range cards it's pretty nice as well. I have to say, I believe that Sledgehammer have done a very, very impressive job with this game, and I would highly recommend you pick it up if you have been interested in the title. Anyway, take care and bye for now.